Hello and hi there! Thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of
The Williams Brothers 1/32nd scale Wedell-Williams racer.
I've got a fair amount to show you today on the old racing plane, but before I dive into that, I thought I'd give a shout out and a hello to fellow YouTuber Mark from Montana. Have a look at his channel, he does an excellent job, especially on the old Wingnut Wings kits. That's it. Yes, have a look. Check it out. If you like your aircraft fabric covered and multi-winged, do have a look. I'll stick a link to his channel in the description for this video. So, let's crack on and have a look at what I've done. And did I say crack on? Yes, let's do that. And we'll carry on and have a look. And yeah. I have finished the instrument panel. So that's just the decal from the kit laid on top of the kit part. And over top of that, I put a sheet of 10 thou plastic card with holes punched in it to allow the instruments to show through. And that's finished off with some photo etched bezels from the likes of Reheat Models, there they are there, and Aero Club. So that turned out fairly okay, I think. That is ready to go in. Oh, and I scratch built a little magneto switch right there. So yeah, that's all done and dusted. Let me get that out of there because I also have the cockpit finished off, ready to go. I've added seat belts. Again, those are from Reheat. There they are. And a scratch-built trim wheel, which you can see on the side there, and other bits and pieces like the cabling for the rudder pedals and control stick and such and so forth. Now, I did mention in the previous video that there was no decal for the compass, even though there is one for the instrument panel. However, that's actually incorrect. I discovered there is one. It's just not mentioned anywhere in the instructions. So I did add that, but it is terribly out of register, so I covered up the nastiness with another photo etched bezel. And also mentioned in the previous exciting installment that I tried an experiment with some clear coat on the floorboards, and that went horribly, horribly wrong. Fortunately, it was very easy to remove with some isopropyl alcohol. So that is all done and dusted. That's ready to go in. However, before I can carry on with the fuselage construction, there is one pesky thing that I have to take care of, and that is the louvres. Number 44 has louvres right there on both sides. Now, for some strange reason, Williams Brothers has only done them on the right side, not on the left. So what I've done is I've measured the ones on this side and I've marked it out there. And somehow, not quite sure how at this point, but somehow I'm going to scribe those in. And I'm also going to clean those up a little bit because they're a little soft. So they need to be sharpened up a little bit. So let's carry on with that. Alrighty, let's give this a go. So the reason I'm doing this before I assemble the fuselage is for a couple of reasons. Number one, because I freaking hate scribing, so I just want to get this over with. And number two, it's going to be a lot easier to do when I can still lay the fuselage halves flat like that. So I'm going to use my trusty Dymo tape, this stuff here. Anybody from the 70s will remember this and know what I'm talking about. It's very, very handy for scribing, though. Not sure if you can still get it, but I have a bunch, so I'm going to use a piece of that, and I'm going to mark out my first louver's position, which is more or less right about there, I think. Actually, you know what? I'm going to extend those two lines so that I can still see them when I put the tape down. That would make sense, wouldn't it? Alrighty. And there. Okay. So, my first piece of tape on there. Comparing to the other one, it's more or less about, oops, there. That should do. And then I'm just using a bit of a sewing needle in pin vise. That's my main go-to scriber when I have to do scribing, because I don't like scribing. And I'll just mark in the first one like that. I'm just worried about the position at the moment. I'm going to make these more louver-like shortly. And so I'll just do that process for the other two. Alrighty, so that's basically the position of the 3 louvers roughly laid out there. And I'm just going to, move that turned around, it'll be a little easier to work from this side. I'm going to use my handy dandy trumpeter scriber here. Oops, trumpeter. Very handy tool. It's got kind of a nifty shape on there. And I'm going to use that to just sort of deepen those lines a little bit, and then I can work with them some more. I find that the sewing needle is good for the sort of the smaller panel lines and just laying out panel lines like this. But if you want to deepen them and widen them, then the trumpeter tool is quite handy because it's got sort of a V shape to it. And as I've said several times previously, I hate scribing. I'm not very good at it, so I suggest if you want to learn how to scribe, go find a video from someone who knows what they're doing, because it ain't me. Alrighty, so, and then I'm just going to use my, get out of there, X-Acto knife, and sort of scrape that at an angle, and hopefully that will give me a semblance of a louver-like shape. I'm going to use a similar process as well to just clean these ones up because, as I say, they're a little bit soft. They just need to be tidied up a little bit and look a little more louver-like. So I'm going to carry on with that, and I'll come back to you in a minute, unless this goes horribly, horribly wrong, and then we might have a change of project midstream. No, that wouldn't happen, I hope. Oakley dokley, there are my completed louvers. They're not perfect by any means, but I can live with them. They will do. These ones did turn out a little bit bigger than the ones on that side, but that's okay. I can fix that later and refine them a little bit. And so what I did was I took my trusty trumpeter scriber and actually used that on an angle, and I was able to get a little bit of an undercut under each louver, which looks okay, I think. And I did the same thing on that side and sharpened them up a little bit. So definite improvement over that supplied in the kit. So I can commence with assembling the fuselage. I know I said this was the only thing I had to do before I can do that, but actually there is one other thing, one quick job. I'm going to take my trusty razor saw and just cut that rudder off because I'm going to reposition it later. So I will do that now, and then we can get to some assembling. Okay, I've been doing some test fitting, and I've got the cockpit glued in the one fuselage half there. Kind of fits where it touches. Yeah, there's a lot of gaps in there. In fact, the front isn't really secured at all. So it's this former right here that's glued in. And so I've been doing some test fitting with 2 fuselage halves. Not too bad. I did have a fair sized gap down the bottom. There, get on there. And I've got that pretty good now. Some rubber bands, I think, will cure that. But I had to do quite a bit of filing on this former here to get it to fit properly. So let's get this puppy glued together. And it's starting to look like, well, something. Not sure what. As I said in video number 1, there are no locating pins or tabs of any kind. So you've got to be really careful to get everything lined up. Your panel lines matched up there, and make sure there are no steps in the 2 halves. Here we go. And I'm going to be using, or I have been using, Tamiya extra thin cement. And it actually works very well on Williams Brothers plastic, which is quite a soft plastic. So let's commence with the gluing. There, ooh, I'm getting a little low on this stuff. I'm going to get some more of that. All right. So, and I said way back in video number 1, I see that people tend to use way too much of this stuff, brushing it along the entire seam. It really, really isn't necessary. You only need a few dots, and capillary action will draw it along the seam. Thusly, just hope if you have some glue on there. And of course, you do have to be careful if you put the rubber band on first that you don't get glue running under your rubber band. Okay, get some more on here. And hopefully, this puppy will stay together. I'll do them nice and tight so I get rid of that gap that I had on the bottom, which is quite small now, but there's still a little bit of one there. Okay, so I'm going to carry on with that. Get the fuselage glued together, leave it to set up overnight, and I will start on the wings, I think. And in the meantime, I have been test fitting the engine, getting the cylinders chopped off the sprue. Lovely little engine, as I mentioned, but time has not been kind to the molds. There's a lot of flash and seams and greeblies to clean up on these, so it's taken me a while, but it'll be worth it. They're quite nice. Alrighty, there it is, all taped and rubber banded together and clamped. I'll leave that overnight, and yeah, that should be good to go. Fit is generally fairly good, so I won't need to do a lot of filling on that. However, some of these panel lines at the front here especially are a little bit soft, so I'm going to just sort those out with the scriber, just deepen them a little bit, sharpen them up. So that's good to go, and I've got all the wing parts clipped off the sprue, ready to go. My first job is going to be thinning down the trailing edges because they're a little bit thick, really. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, number 44 and number 121 for that matter have slightly different ailerons. If you look at the drawings here, we can see that they are actually straight. The kit supplied option is for number 92. So, I'll be doing that. I'll straighten that out, which of course is going to leave an even thicker trailing edge on that aileron, but that's okay, because the ailerons are going to be cut out and repositioned anyway, so I can rework those at the same time. So that's going to be in the next video. I'm hoping to have all that done and the wings on and not too far from painting. So this is going quite a bit quicker than the P12E, barring any major disasters. That couldn't happen, never. So that's going to do it today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, remember to check out Mark's channel. It's an excellent modeling channel. And thank you for watching. Be sure and subscribe and comment and share and like and jump up and down and bark at the moon and all the other things the YouTube algorithm gets off on. Bye-bye.